Good morning, viewers. You're watching NewsX and I'm Simran. This morning, in fact, as Iran-Israel conflict escalates, explosions were heard over Israel's Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as sirens sounded across Israel. Following this, the country's military spokesperson has said that the firing of the missiles from Iran, these are the visuals from the Irani strikes on Israel. Israel's military has said that Iran fired around 100 missiles and most were intercepted or they fell short. Well, as the conflict and the exchange of strike heats up, my colleague Aditya Vadhavan gives us the latest update that he is tracking very closely, as in fact the escalation of explosion is heating up. Aditya, what are you picking up in Israel as explosions were heard?
At this juncture, the situation is very concerning because, in the last night, Iran has launched hundreds of projectiles into, Israel, and, there have been blasts that have been heard across Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and, a smoke has been seen rising from the window, from the several buildings, from the several residential locations across Israel. It is a clear indication that now, Iran is trying to target the Israeli civilians. And, many of the drones that were sent by Iran towards Israel were intercepted by the Iron Dome of Israel. However, some of the projectiles evaded the Israeli defense system, and they have hit several residential buildings at this juncture. All the Israeli defense forces are highest of the highest alert, and now it needs to be seen from how from here on how the situation escalates, because in the Middle East this will have catastrophic consequences for the entire Middle East. And at this juncture, US is now hoping that post these attacks by Israel, Iran will now heed to the nuclear talks. That we already know that two, 3 rounds of nuclear discussions have happened between the US and Iran. Yes.
Well, all right, Aditya, continue to be with us as we are also tracking more updates. As in Iran's state news agency, IRNA has said that hundreds of ballistic missiles had been launched in the retaliation for Israel's biggest ever attacks on Iran, blasting Iran's huge underground nuclear site at Natanz and wiping out its top military commanders. However, Israel's military has said that Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles and most were intercepted or fell short. Israel has said that the strikes were the start of the Operation Rising Lion. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has accused Israel of having started the strikes and initiating a war. Aditya, what is more to come as the fight between the Middle East wars escalates only further, with the top military commanders also being one of the deceased, which is going to escalate even further stronger retaliations?
Well, absolutely, the military generals in Iran will definitely now press for a harder retaliation against Israel. We have seen a video where we have seen from how from the Iranian capital Tehran, there were videos coming in where when the missiles were launched, projectiles were launched from Iran towards Israel. The Iranian people were seen celebrating that we are back, and the Iranian supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei has been saying that now the Israel, after attacking Iran, Israel has opened the gates of hell for itself. So, clearly all these statements by both the sides show that there will be a major escalation in the entire Middle East.
Well, all right. In fact, Aditya, continue to be with us on the broadcast as we are learning further is, in fact, more details as the escalation further heats up. Iran's UN Ambassador has said that 78 people were killed and 320 were wounded in the Israel's airstrike on Iran. The death toll, which now comes from the officials, have come after Israel's attack across Iran, which it hit dozens of targets and around Tehran, including nuclear facilities and official headquarters. Among those who have been killed by Israeli airstrikes include the scientists and commanders. When we speak about the United Nations, at the same time, speaking at the emergency UN Security Council, China's permanent representative, the envoy to the UN, has also condemned Israel's violation of Iran's sovereignty and urged it to stop all risky military actions. All right, Aditya, if we speak about Iran's in fact stand or statement in the UN nations and UN security nations, China has also hit out at Israel for violating the security and Iran's sovereignty. What more are you picking up?
Well, absolutely. I mean, China has now blamed Israel for heightened attacks. And we could also see that, Russia also criticizing Iran. Several. We have seen several incidents, where there have been war words. Last time also when Israel and Iran got into a conflict, Russia and China came to Iran's help. And if China is giving a quid pro, regarding Taiwan. Even Russia and China, there could be a possibility if a wider escalation goes. There could be hints that Russia and China could also enter this war as far as backing Iran, because Iran has only has the backing from Russia and China. Meanwhile, Israel has a backing from the United States. However, we have seen in the past how some countries like France, Germany, Norway have placed sanctions against top Israeli officials in the recent past. They have criticized Israeli actions in the Gaza. So at this juncture, the situation is very concerning, and it needs to be seen from here on how the situation progresses.
Absolutely. In fact, as Israel's envoy in the United Nations has also given out a statement. Now, when we speak about the numbers, they are still under consideration, as the top officials have made it clear, while Israeli paramedics have rushed to Ramat after explosions were heard in the area, following the missiles launched from Iran in the Tel Aviv area. Israel's ambulance service has said that 5 people were treated for shrapnel injuries, and Israel's military has said that Iran has fired fewer than 100 missiles and most were intercepted or fell short. Well, all right. In fact, Aditya continues to be with us. Middle East crisis heats up. Paramedics are also, in fact, reaching at the site to treat the wounded and the injured by the strikes that, in fact, Iran has hit out at several bases in Israel. Aditya.
Well, absolutely. The paramedics have rushed to the sites where the Iranian drones and projectiles have caused damage, and the Iranian media, the Iranian authorities have said that about 78 people have been injured in these attacks by Iran over Israel, and it needs to be seen from here on how more will there be any casualties related to in Israel by these Iranian attacks, or will it be otherwise? It needs to be seen, because at this juncture the situation is concerning, and there could be more spate of attacks by both the sides on each other. Yes, Sindhu.
Well, all right, Aditya. In fact, in the view of these developments that we are tracking very closely, now what we are learning further is that the interceptions could be seen in the skies over Jerusalem and West Banks, Ramallah on the 14th of the June, as Iran sent retaliatory strikes against Israel. Israel's strike overnight on the Friday targeted Iran's nuclear facilities, ballistic missile factories, military commanders and nuclear scientists. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said it was the start of a prolonged operation to prevent Tehran from the building of an atomic weapon. Sirens have sounded in North Israel. Aditya, interceptions have seen on the skies above Jerusalem as well. What is next as we speak of at this point of time for the IDF as well, that has also issued a statement in the past?
Absolutely, the IDF is now maintaining a huge level of alert, and there will be discussions regarding this as to what will be the future course of war with Iran, and already we have seen how Israel also scrambled its fighter jets, aircrafts uh, to Iran to further intensify its attack against Iran, because they know that Iran will definitely retaliate. And at this juncture, the situation, the very next moment something can happen. So it is very difficult to say, to predict, precisely predict, what the both the sides are able to do with each other at any given time. Yes, Simran.
Right, Aditya, in fact, continue to be with us as we are also tracking more statements coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces as well. As Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has spoken on the ongoing Operation Rising Lion and the current situation between Israel and Iran that heats up. He has said to the proud people of Iran, we are in the midst of one of the greatest military operations in history. Operation Rising Lion, the Islamic regime which has oppressed you for almost 50 years, threatens to destroy my country. The state of Israel, the objective of Israel's military operation is to remove the nuclear threat and ballistic missile threat to Israel.
Tonight I wish to speak to you, the proud people of Iran. We're in the midst of one of the greatest military operations in history, Operation Rising Lion. The Islamic regime, which has oppressed you for nearly 50 years, threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel. The objective of Israel's military operation is to remove this threat, both the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat to Israel. And as we achieve our objectives, we're also clearing the path for you to achieve your objective, which is freedom. In the past 24 hours, we've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them. The nation of Iran and the nation of Israel have been true friends since the days of Cyrus the Great. And the time has come for you to unite around your flag and your historic legacy by standing up for your freedom from an evil and oppressive regime. It has never been weaker. This is your opportunity to stand up and let your voices be heard. Woman, life, freedom. Zan, Zandegi, Azadi. As I said yesterday and many times before, Israel's fight is not with you. It's not with you, the brave people of Iran, whom we respect and admire. Our fight is with our common enemy, a murderous regime that both oppresses you and impoverishes you. Brave people of Iran, your light will defeat the darkness. I'm with you. The people of Israel are with you. Tonight I wish...
Aditya Vadawan joins me live on the broadcast. While we have just heard the statement by Israeli Prime Minister, while also IDF has said that in fact on the Operation Rising Lion, a short while ago sirens sounded in several areas across Israel following the identification of missiles from Iran towards the state of Israel. While IDF has also vowed to operate to intercept the attacks and strikes where necessary to eliminate the threat. All right, in fact, Aditya joins me with more updates. Aditya.
Well, absolutely, Simran. As we had just heard the address by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, we have seen, how he is criticizing the Iranian regime as evil, and he says that they stand with the solidarity with the Iranian people. However, they have no faith in this evil Iranian regime, and they will destroy the nuclear capabilities of Iran, and they will not. Stop at this juncture. They will continue to target Iran, and and it is at this juncture the situation is very concerning. It needs to be seen how this entire scenario unfolds, because the situation is getting out of controls, and Iran now there is a huge risk of all these Houthis, Hezbollah now coming together and doing a coordinated together attack on Israel, because Israel is surrounded by all hostile countries. So now it needs to be seen, Simran, from here on how this entire situation unfolds.
All right, Aditya, thank you very much for sharing more updates with us at this point of time, where a short while ago, sirens had been sounded in several areas across Israel following the identification of missiles from Iran. And as per the statement that has been issued by Israeli Defense Forces, this is what we are learning next. While the defense forces have also said that it was operating to intercept the attacks, it strike where necessary to eliminate the threat. Ajay Jandyal, my colleague, joins me with more updates. Ajay, now if we talk about the confirmed numbers, we have just in fact tracked the statement by Israel's ambassador to the United States, which has also confirmed that Israel is in war not with the people of Iran, but we are in the war against the regime that is intent on achieving a nuclear power. What more can you add up, as IDF also confirms that sirens did sound and they are also looking forward to intercept any strikes wherever necessary?
It was already clarified by the Netanyahu, the top chief of the Israel, and he clearly says that they carried out this strike on Iran just to ensure that Iran is not able to basically complete their nuclear program. And that's why they have carried out this, these strikes on day one. And immediately after this, this action by the Israel on Iran, they gave a statement and says that we had a specific input that Iran is basically going forward for the nuclear program, and that is going to be a threat for the Israel. And that's why they have preempted this and they have carried out this strike. And that in a fresh statement, they gave another statement by saying that Israel is not against Iran's public, but it is only against the regime of Iran, who is basically trying to develop the nuclear weapons and other things. So that's why, because there was already input with Israel and other countries that Iran is basically collecting the uranium, and that uranium can help Iran to, develop a number of, atomic bombs over there, and that could be a threat. Long-range weapon could be a threat to the Israel. So that's why they have done it. And number of attacks they have carried, which basically includes the headquarters of the armed forces. They have targeted the missile facilities of, nuclear facilities of Iran. They have carried out attack on the defense, headquarters there, in which a number of senior generals they have died. So that was that is what they have clarified. But the way basically Iran started retaliating, that shows that it is like a full-fledged war, because the whole of the night and even in last 24 hours, hundreds of missiles were fired in retaliation by the Iran, which damaged number of defense installations, number of civilian areas of Israel as well. And similar action was carried out by the Israel as well. That is what Iran have claimed.
All right. In fact, Ajay, continue to be with us, as what we are learning further is that the statement that has been issued by Israeli police. First death has been reported in Israel following Iran's aerial attacks. A woman has been killed after a weapon fragment fell to the ground in Israeli city of Ramat. The woman was pronounced dead at the scene in the Dan area of the city, which is east of Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, a number of injured people have been evacuated from the area. Police are now operating at the scene along with the other emergency services. First death that has been reported by Israeli police confirms the death of the women. These are the civilians, of course, as in fact in the latest, what we are also further learning is that this is going to even blow up further. Ajay, more details.
The war-like situation has already emerged between Iran and Israel, and we have seen that number of missiles which are landing in Tel Aviv and other areas of Israel. And similarly, Western Iran is facing this situation because Israel is also targeting the different locations of Iran. But in this fresh development, a lady have died and a number of people were injured when a missile hits Tel Aviv and not only the one, but number of missiles that was fired from the Iran side that have landed in the civilians area. That is what Israel is claiming, that a number of people they have died and also some of them they are injured. And but Israel have conveyed to their own people that they have to be inside the shelters so that there is no harm to the civilians' life as they are already going through the war.
All right. In fact, Ajay, thank you for these latest details. I'll request you to kindly stay on with us, as according to Israeli publication The Times of Israel, fire and heavy smoke billows from Ramat airport in the Iranian capital of Tehran. Videos show columns of heavy smoke rising from the area of the airport in the western Tehran. Ajay, what in fact these images are also signaling at that there are not just nuclear facilities across the Middle East that have been targeted by Iran, but there are bases where civilian casualties have also been reported. As more numbers are coming in, the missiles that have been launched are also targeting the residential areas. Share more details.
Yes, that is what Iran has claimed, that a number of residential areas were, hit during the Israel attack, and they say that 78 people were died in last 24 hours in Iran. And it is Western Iran where these targets were hit, and they say that because of the Israel, missiles are landing in the civil area. That shows that they basically targeting the civilian area of Iran, and they say that the visual also says that the way basically these missiles are landing, that is horrible, because not only the civilian area but number of oil dumps also are hit because of the Israeli attack. So because of the war-like situation, this will happen, and that is what expected, and that's why world is trying to pacify the situation by saying that Iran and Israel, they need to maintain restraint so that there is no escalation in this situation. But the way basically both the countries are targeting each other, that shows that it is not going to be controlled very soon.
Absolutely. In fact, Ajay, stay on, as reports are also emerging, and during a UN Security Council meeting on the Middle East crisis, China has also condemned Israel's violation of Iran's sovereignty, security and territorial integrity, has urged Israel to immediately stop all the risky military actions as stated by China's UN Ambassador Fu Cong. Ajay, what are you picking up as President Donald Trump has also issued a warning amid this all of the escalation, and now China has warned completely, in fact, on the Israeli strikes on Iran, and their envoy to the UN has condemned the Israel's violation of sovereignty in Iran.
Yes, they have condemned, and China also condemned that the way basically Israel have targeted the Iran, that is basically hitting out at a nation's sovereignty, and that is something which is not acceptable. They have condemned it. But Israel have given one reason for the same attacks. They say that it is only because that they were developing the nuclear program, which is dangerous for the Israel, and that's why they say that they have carried out this attack. Now the countries are trying to take initiative to pacify the situation, and they are continuously asking both the countries, Iran and Israel, to maintain restraint so that there is no further escalation and there is no civilian casualty and further casualty because the way basically both the countries are using the weapon and missiles, supersonic missiles, either the ballistic missiles, that is killing the people of both the sides. So that is what the UN is requesting, but when they are going to accept it, when they are going to agree on the same and talk about the ceasefire, that has to be seen.
Security Council meeting on Friday also saw the representatives presenting their side. While now when we speak about India, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, in this matter, after releasing the statement yesterday, has also spoken to Israel's Foreign Minister Syed Abbas Araghchi on the latest developments amid the escalating tensions between Iran and Israel. All right, Aditya Vadavan is joining me live on the broadcast. India has also issued a statement on this Middle East conflict, Aditya, and they have spoken, as what we are tracking, Dr. S. Jaishankar has spoken to Iran and Israel's ambassadors and also the envoys in the view of what's the situation that's prevailing. What more are you picking up?
The Foreign Minister Jaishankar has held telephonic conversation with Iranian counterpart Syed Abbas Araghchi and spoke about the latest situation. And India has expressed that both Iran and Israel are India's friends, and the diplomatic missions of India are in constant touch with the Israeli and as well as Iranian authorities. Also, if you see, the talks between the two leaders come in the wake of Operation Rising Lion launched by Israel against Iran. And Jaishankar also, Foreign Minister Jaishankar has also received a phone call from Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sar regarding ongoing developments. Earlier in the day, India had expressed its deep concern at the recent developments between Iran and Israel. And I quote, we are closely, the statement has come from the MEA, Minister of External Affairs. We are closely monitoring the evolving situation, including reports related to attacks on nuclear sites. India has urged both sides to avoid any escalatory steps and express its willingness to offer all possible support. At this juncture, it needs to be seen, how and in which direction now is this war between Iran and Israel go forward. Will it be a limited escalation, or will it be a big escalation between Iran and Israel, which could be catastrophic for the entire Middle East?
All right, Aditya, thank you very much for sharing the latest that you're tracking very closely. Now, viewers, with more news and updates on the other side, stay tuned.